cascades that you kind of like to do when you're trying to add some aggressive pressure on that side, but at least it can still do it and leverage somebody like Timotino. Why use utility when you have Timotino to do it? So let's see how that's going to be played out, though, on their attack side. But on defense, it's a wall to come up first. Solo play by Vora gets immediately picked off here by SRG, although not broken in time. So that's going to waste a lot of time on the side here of SRG, giving a chance now for TSM to rotate around.
Two Sages about to face off, but Vora's going to have to fall back away from Yellow because the TP4 and Mel is on the chase, and around the corner is Alvin trying to do their best, and SRG just run them both down. I thought this was going to be a slower comp, especially without a duelist, and they just play like 5 duelists. So a fantastic start for SRG. 3 for Sarah this round, and it was a pistol that they pretty much got flawless on Corrode. So love to see SRG's bounce back here. It's Timotino now, showing them what the GC Sheriff is all about. Ready to sync up with a triple swing, maybe? Oh, wait, that shot was kind of nasty. We were just feeding the beast, aka Sarah, aka Sierra Jr., question mark?
Sarah Dawn? Yeah, at least, yeah, halfway into her ult as well for Sarah. So a great start for SRG. And indeed, yes, looking at the composition on the side of the golds, that they aren't playing any type of duelists and actually putting their duelists on the Sage. I still think it's fine, because right now on the side of SRG, especially on the defense too, Donut could still play long range op with the Sage walls and the op on herself, and also create enough stalls on her side to solo hold. That said, though, I think the importance is what we just saw that Mel did. She TP'd on top of Yellow, got information here for the team, opened up the space for the team as well. And that's what you want to do when you don't have that duelist to play within that composition for the side of SRG, which is where you're seeing this Omen coming out on that side of the double controller. So TSM goes for jump peaks. Vora sees a couple, and once again, TSM's able to rotate as fast to be able to fight back against SRG's push on B.
They're going to play for retake because Vora didn't want to use the wall, didn't buy slow orbs, and just didn't want to opt for that yet. Now, just a sliver of plant space to go for, but already the flash is up by 7 and the flood in, and only so much Mel could do against that. Only the pistols came in rocking, and SRG held their ground.
My ult is ready.
Sarah's continuing her hold from the first map to the second one. Remember the 4K that she had before, saving the team. Also for SRG to get one of those few rounds that they picked up here out of the 4 on that first map of Corrode. But this time around, coming in with a vengeance, already 7-0-0. And that means that's an ultimate pretty much ready on the side of Chopin Rebellion, unless she goes for a plant or unless she goes for an orb. Or actually with that pick that she got, she already has it ready for the team. So there is a chance here for SRG to be fairly aggressive and quick here with the Hunter's Fury if they want to use it here on the attack, which would be quite good against this buy round for TSM.
Hey, Hunter's Fury, this is my site, not yours, but Mel is already missing, so TSM can feel confident just playing off their Harbor Cascade, and they have a lot more to use behind smokes like that. Like 7 just being able to flash on the other side. That was kind of how TSM were able to fight against SRG. It's just SRG shot better in that moment with the anti-eco. So first rifle round for TSM has been fruitful so far. Not even have to play for the retake. It's forcing SRG to pivot.
Yeah, it might stay that way too. I don't know what happened there for SRG that forced Mel to turn around and look at her teammates while she was still trying to call. I don't know if there was maybe a dart that wasn't broken in the very beginning, that they thought that pipes was open in the first place, but team was just able to jump up and get a pick and fall back right away. So that really foiled the plans here of SRG. So they tried to be fairly quick with their Hunter's Fury on the execution on the A site. Now, at least it seems like they should be able to get a plant for the side of SRG on that side. Nice lurk though by Noya at the same time too.
You love to see Noya activate like that, and it's just not going to push her luck too much, and rather just try to keep TSM distracted. And meanwhile, got the Sage wall in place. Usual 1 for SRG. Plant goes down, and with all the time they had to set this up, of course they could take the high ground and take extended angles, but 7.
Yep.
Just a beautiful triple converted. Just being steady. He's not panicked. He's not pressured. And SRG, we're still trying to explore around mid, and it's just 7 that foiled all of their plans.
Nice little attempt though for SRG. Yes, with the first lurk by Noya, but at the same time the boost to get Alexis on top and getting a Guardian kill on the top of that B site was actually quite nice. Although unfortunately she was low HP after, couldn't get the surprise kill in the back of yellow to allow SRG to get behind and pick up an extra weapon there. So the other weapon was kind of out of reach. And there's that first kill we were talking about there by Timo. That should have been accounted for. Maybe SRG didn't notice that maybe a dart didn't break, or maybe they didn't shoot it themselves. I missed that detail myself. But that said, that small mistake really foiled here the plans of SRG to try to come through. Although bonus, not too bad, you know.
Just a bonus. And also just Timo having a good series overall. And when you're the only duelist here, you are going to shine a little bit more, being able to use that verticality, which Mel is trying to match. And this is just Timo on defense. Imagine when TSM go on offense, what that is going to look like. But those are such big shoes to fill for the guy. Like Sim leaving, I don't know if he's taking a break or something, but you had these last minute fills, and Timo wasn't on my radar of like top 5 best duelists and challengers, but this is what challengers is all about, is rising to the occasion, making a name for yourself. And sometimes you just land on that team where you mesh in so well. And the desk talked about the difference of play styles that TSM have had to adapt to, where Timo's more methodical, he's slower, he's smarter about everything, and that's different than Sim in terms of the level of aggression that we see out of both those duelists. And it seems like TSM already in week 2 are accustomed to that already. Yeah,
I have a little bit of a different opinion about Timo for me, though, because I was able to see him play at a local LAN, QC Val, a couple of years back here in Longueuil in Montreal. So everybody has been talking about Timo when he was just 16 years old playing in this LAN, and everybody was circling him. Even Kohler played in that LAN, and I'm going to roll the years back if people just heard the name Kohler. But he also told me, you got to keep an eye out for this guy, for Timo. He's definitely going to be an up-and-comer coming through. And I think even after Split 1, he's been on the radar of a couple of people going through the conversation of, wow, we actually have a couple of duelists that have an opportunity to move up just in a similar style as Mata did last year, and that Timo would probably be one of those players coming up very soon. So for him to have an opportunity to move away from Rose and from SAD and to move over to TSM, where it's at least an organization that has a lot of eyes on them, it gives a chance here for Timo if he doesn't ascend here with the TSM squad after Split 3 and the Ascension tournament, to continue to be on the radar of a couple that are still scouting for a potential good duelist here moving into the VCTs. Just like Penny, for example, just got.
For sure. And you're absolutely right that there's been a lot of vacant spots just with all the talent that's been promoted to VCT, that now it's how well has your scouting been, and what are the rumors, who's popping off in scrims, and who's able to deliver that same thing in the official matches, because that's been what's pained at TSM for a lot of the time, is they've had such strong players on paper and in regular season, but in playoffs things seem to just fall apart. Or maybe it's more about other teams just leveling up to a different level and bringing up a lot of different ideas that TSM weren't ready for in playoffs. So perhaps this could be, I mean, based on how good TSM look already, this could be a roster that goes far.
Yeah, definitely. And the potential that you have from Alvin Boy as well. Yes, maybe we've lost Recoil on the side of TSM, where I thought, for me, Recoil was also a great addition to the team in the first place with Vora. But Alvin Boy is another person that you don't want to pass over in terms of the potential that he could bring for a team. So TSM probably feels at this point it's important for them to try to ascend. So you have to make some big moves, and you have to make some tough decisions. And they've, in my eyes, picked up 2 great players to fill up this roster, but they don't have too much time to work things out, just as they're about to meet up with opposition right now over towards this A site.
Timo just heating up as soon as we're talking about him. And even SRG, I think, is it a flash from 7 or something? Looked like they were still able to just stabilize and stay stoic despite, okay, after a technical pass, Timo's coming out with knives, and SRG aren't too flustered.
Yeah. Now they're just waiting here. Noya has been really good on the lurk so far for SRG. So you're seeing through this X-ray behind here, Noya. SRG is still running back and forth, trying to figure out what the next step is. So it's regrouping to try to maybe, or you bait the turret and you start pushing towards the A site, or you have to make some noise towards the A site so that Noya could focus on a 1v1 against Alvin Boy. And it's noise towards the A site to start.
Don't mind it too, especially if you think that 7 was able to get the flashback. So SRG gonna scale up when they can, but it's this high ground presence from 7. He's got a good angle, but Donut has a better shot. Vora trades and kind of dwindles the numbers of SRG. to just Sarah, Dodonut, and Noya, who of course has the res and could head back to get their numbers back up. And here's Mel, the captain, back on the ship. Man, Vora, though, has been so steady in these 1v1s. Now Alvin can make his way through the nooks and crannies to go up against SRG when their backs are against the wall. It's a 2v2 post plan that TSM have to hurry, and it's too late when Noya's on the job.
Noya gets her redemption at least, because it worked perfectly to the plan that SRG was trying to do. They pull up the rotates after going for the execute towards the A side, and Noya hears a rotate from Alva Boy back through the kitchen, tries to get the crosshair placement for the pick, misses the shot on Vora, and those two players, being Vora and Alvan Boy, are starting to pick off SRG one by one until finally she meets up with her teammates and gets the last 2 kills on a 2 that she missed in the first place. So nice little redemption arc. They're able to capitalize onto another round, and that forces a timeout right away here from TSM, because they went for a win-loss, and the economy is not going to be the best here moving into the next round. I mean, they could probably still buy, but you still want to make sure here that you are able to identify these gaps that are left behind and not allow Noya to get so much value out of her pushes and her lurks.
It's so cool to see Timotino find himself just in this series within this team from just, was it that like 4K flank he went on Kuro, just walking through mid, had beautiful timing against SRG, and had them really freaked out when he could just, well, okay, there could be a Waylay on the flank. There could be just 7 popping out with the chamber. And now Timotino, as soon as bears are down, is dashing into SRG after he gets a kill. Not away, into SRG, which you love to see it out of an aggro Canadian like that.
Definitely. And now you could see it with this timeout that they had. They want to force into a buy, so small shields across the board and only a Marshall for Timotino. And they're going to try to play him on the top of yellow to allow here Vora to maybe bait things out just like the pistol round. So already the wall is going to get shut off and broken off for a bit, but SRG are focusing a lot more into a mid control.
Has been really solid with these opening picks, especially at yellow, and knows kind of when to fall back. This time bought the 2 slow orbs, so if there were to be a fight in this B main, slow orbs are going to do a lot of damage. Well, not damage, but it is going to cause it afterwards. SRG just going to have to hang back from a wall place there.
Baiting out the shot too, so now I like the idea to start things off there for SRG. The smoke to try to creep up first. You allow Mel to get inserted here so she could fight her 1v1, but I don't know if she's going to expect Timotino just on top of B.
Does she TP on top of yellow? Like, kind of an awkward thing to do when you're by yourself, but, you know, playing your life and just really not risking. Do not risk it for the biscuit, and keep the attention of 3 would be huge for SRG. Meanwhile, there is a drone.
30 seconds left.
And some quick headway from Noya on the front lines. Of course, smoke and screens. Plant going down for SRG, and Mel is hearing everyone run away, so she could have beautiful timing on a backstab, but she has to hurry because Noya can't hold the front anymore. No more bodyguards and screens. The smokes are about to dissipate, and SRG have angles around. But 7 can still not only flash out, but thrash out as well. And here's a nice double kill Mel flank that we were waiting to see blossom. And at not a moment's notice, a paranoia from behind is going to hit GMD, so he's going to stay put. It's going to cost TSM more time. GMD's got to watch the flank. Mel wins that. Donut takes care of business at the front, and SRG look really cohesive.
Huge run by Mel. Yes, definitely. In that previous round, probably you could hear Roy screaming behind her closed doors, like, go Mel, what a big triple. Because of that, we were talking about, yeah, you don't want to TP on the top of yellow because you don't want to give the audio queue well. You're just going to be an open target. But just making sure that she creates that smoke for the team, and even if she's late, even if she misses those shots in the very beginning, she could always TP back if she had it available on the top belt and close out into the post round for the A site. So she gathers all this information for the team. They're able to set up and deny here the retake push by TSM with the ult. And now they're in the lead by 3, breaking the econ of TSM. This is a great start and a great comeback, although the push through for the drone.
Uh-oh.
Oh my
You're just
gosh,
lucky you were able to get your gun out in time.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh boy. All right. Sarah's gonna back away from that. You're not gonna have the Mel lurk this time, and if she was there, she'd be so cooked. SRG's just gonna death ball with what they can, and Noya watches over with the Outlaw. Donut off the wall, can get a plant, can even go up the ropes to try and avoid that molly, but Seven's impact has definitely been known. With the Sheriff, though, it'll be not as loud as a Vandal like before. SRG, though, just try to hold the long lanes and let the Vandal do all the talking, and Mel and the rest just unite for now their 5th round.
And that's the thing you see from TSM's composition. In terms of spike denial, it's abysmal what you have in terms of being able to get a Viper Snakebite combination and a shock dart, usually with a Silva, to be able to drop some people down. Instead, it's a Snakebite that falls, or actually that even came out from the attack side. Nonetheless, though, from TSM's side, you can see from the composition that they are focusing a lot on high tides, coves, gecko diffuses, walls to really help out TSM in these moments. So it's important for them to kind of just stay alive, especially when it comes down to those moments where you're giving up sights. So you can't really allow these lurks to happen on the side of SRG. If not, it just spoils your whole plan with the flood retakes that you're trying to do here on the side of TSM. So the game plan's there, but it's just that they're allowing people like Noya and Mel to just slip through and own them. Gotta tighten up those corners.
Well, Timatuna also owns an op and was kind of shooting the air at the beginning, so must have been the wind. SRG are gonna decide not to go towards a scary loud gun, but this time have Mel. I always love to see when she goes for TP plays towards spawn, and Vor just read her like a book this time, so SRG won't get that backline pressure they were hoping for. Now have no idea what's on the other side of this Viper wall. Hunter's Fury from Sarah will keep everyone in place, and then you send Donut forward to clean up, and it's just janitor duty. But Spike has not been planted yet, so it's been a little awkward. Here's a Cascade retake for TSM, and GMD has an opening pick. It's a stabilization too, with 7 watching over all the smokes, and now there's no fuel and kind of physically and metaphorically for SRG, and the Spike is down. This is tough.
Told the players it was hard for SRG to come in for the plant too. Yes, the Cascade started things off, but not before even the Reckoning came through. You can't really sit still and try to go for a plant. The other ones are kind of dancing around, just like what was mentioned here at the desk by Gompers. You're throwing out that Reckoning. It has such a huge AoE that you're actually now funneling players to trying to find some safeties behind yellow. And while they're doing that, they're just out in the open, knives out, and just getting picked off. It worked out for that first kill with the Hunter's Fury, but after losing Mel to try to cut the rotates from the back of a TP, and kind of beat themselves to the play here for SRG. And now TSM has a little bit of breathing room. Not losing that many players in the process allows here for them to build up the economy and try to come back here in this game.
There's a high-low from SRG just to counteract that TSM walk down that jump scared Sarah. She's just trying to drone out of a room. So I like the adaptations from SRG. And then you kind of wait to see what Noya is able to do. She spotted the turret in kitchen before, so doesn't want to deal with that turret elsewhere, and she's been deep into mid, so she can make a play too. Oh no! Oh yeah, I cursed it.
Yeah. Welcome to the caster curse. But on the side of SRG, despite losing Noya in the first place, SRG was just breaking that wall in the B side, but Sarah's not using that drone either, so they didn't want to make too much of a presence towards that B side, faking that they're playing the contact play, which is why it's being pinged out here from the side of TSM. And the drone very well used this time around as they're trying to re-hit towards the A site. It doesn't really spot the operator. Oh no, he missed. He snuck behind it. He snuck under and got the pick on Mel. That's unfortunate.
What a timing too from Timotino. And the op is still there, and SRG would have to re-clear, and they just don't have the time, and you just can't even get another angle around it. It's just Sarah now. And you would love to save this gun. You would love to do a lot of things, include win Valorant, but now everyone's gonna push you, and there is no route to escape. Flawless for TSM to get themselves back in the driver's seat.
And coming back in this game since the timeout as well. So TSM making sure here that, the win con is not necessarily, well, actually, yes, they did try to make sure that they isolated Noya on these lurks. So Alvin Boy wins that 1v1, even though Noya got first contact and technically was supposed to get that dual win. So they're able to isolate the lurks coming out from Noya, but the other big win con here is now Timotino out from a Marshall, finally having enough econ with how the rounds have been going here on the side of SRG to kick things off in the first half. Now he has the operator. He's putting good value into it as well, and SRG has to find a way now to knock that out of his hands.
How can you? I guess the only hope has been avoid A, find some verticality, getting just a different angle to see can you find a spot where he's not locking down his crosshair, and then you try to walk up B, and then TSM have conditioned you that off barriers being dropped. They could throw slow orbs, they could throw a sage wall up in your face, they can just be already in that back closet area. It's tough.
Yeah, and especially with this econ that you currently have here from SRG. I mean, I respect here the fact that you want to go for a timeout. If I'm seeing a stinger buy, I feel like they'd like to play around the 3 ults that they have available. But instead, okay, now I'm starting to see, okay, it might happen. So you have a perfect opportunity now with the ult to try to push some people out, but you also have to make sure that you try to take down Alvin Boy or Vora in that case, so that they cannot use their own lockdown here on the defense for TSM.
Some slow orbs being exchanged as SRG now sit in their tower to look and see if they can get a punish on Timotino, who's been forward before, and rely on that Sarah drone and hoping to get luckier this time. Not have anyone slip through the cracks as SRG now just all fall to the ground, and there's slow orbs, there's harbor walls, and there's still TSM holding the A site. It's down to a 2 versus 2 with knives from Timotino, and it's SRG just left with Alexis. 1 versus 2, and now it's kind of a high-low that you're facing, so unless Alexis gets lucky with a headshot, it's not looking good.
Tried to go for the wide swing too for that pick. But yeah, it was a nice try. If only Vora didn't have that res available too, maybe there was even a greater chance there for Alexis to close that out. But I love here from TSM, knowing here that what's at stake for SRG, that they would potentially try to get into the site as fast as they wanted to. TSM didn't really give a chance for them to set up. So that's why Alvin Boy is already set up towards the A site. Perfect read coming out on their end. And then just also making sure that they're flooding in behind the Gecko Dizzy, so that the SRG can't even set up into a post plant to be allowed to get the pit out. The silver lining, though, at least for SRG, is that they bought enough so they could buy into the next round. So they still have a full rifle round where they can leverage this pit on the side of the
Okay, Mel's able to stabilize after TPing in and out and getting flashed by a Gecko. Was not expecting that level of smoke. So still good information, as now SRG can just pit up through the front of screens, and I guess just get spammed through by TSM from rafters and screens. Then you got an op that's able to just get eyes early. It's a 3rd converted by Timotino, and now this duelist is really shining.
Yeah, and then probably Twitch chat going, crutch op. But at the same time, it's putting up big numbers here for the side of TSM on their side. And the mobility coming out from Timotino too. Pushing down towards middle for that first trade, instantly going towards the A site to support. Canceling out the pit that was already being thrown up by Noya's side. It worked out in the very beginning to pull out the that game plan that TSM had to pull at least the op away guaranteed from the A site by adding a lot of pressure on middle first. But they lost too many players in the process when they finally actually were able to execute into this A side. And now it's SRG on an eco. And unfortunately, where it started off so well on their side, it's now tied up 5-5 in TSM. They found a groove here on the second map of Icebox.
Yeah, what a comeback. Who needs to play for retake when you can just play the don't plant out my site, bro defense? And TSM or something else. It's really stacked on that side, and now gonna swap Timotino over at B long, while Alvin stays back to just play their life for the lockdown. A lot of good ults for TSM, but silver lining for SRG would be how many ults can you pull out in this round? And did you buy the GC sheriffs or just like the normal sheriffs? We're about to find out with Alexis playing close to the corner. Who's got eyes on screens though from SRG, and just Alvin gets a big surprise. Beautiful jump up, and now GMD is more forward than SRG expected, with Molly and bodies on the floor. And a retake that was as easy as that. But hey, with sheriffs, SRG took down 2, so.
Yeah, but they're rolling in economy for the side of TSM. So losing that many players, as long as they get the round, the next round is still a huge gun round for TSM. 13 seconds left. You're gonna be pretty impossible here for Noya unless you pull out mistakes on the side of the defense and you're not with Timotino top. Yeah, so that said, going into this last round is at least a res available for Donut to allow for SRG to be as fast tempo as they wanted to. They were being very good at being proactive at the beginning of this half as well. But now that is so dirty. He goes into the ground to be able to break the boom bot and then come back, or sorry, the alarm bot, and then swing back up for a 1 buckshot of the shorty. Nobody's shorty does that in outside of pro play.
Yeah, we got to call it tech pause because, yeah, no one does that in pro play. This is challengers, guys. Everyone calm down, especially you, Timotino. What's with this 17-7? Like, you're going crazy. And this is the Jet map forum for sure. And this was what? This is TSM's map pick, right? So you got to feel good on it.
Yeah, you definitely do. It looked like you're going to be a little bit hesitant, though, to kick things off when SRG were playing so well on their attack side. From the get-go, even losing their bonus round against the TSM play, but then stringing out 3 rounds after that for the side of SRG, they were in a great position to continue forward into the rest of the half. But as we mentioned before, going into the timeout for TSM, when they had the 4 rifles with the Marshal, they knew here at this point that they have an opportunity to just lock down a lane, lock down an area with 1 single op and have the rest of the team really try to prod out those lurks, and they're able to just aggress into that. Back into a little bit more mid-control proactiveness on the side of TSM for these fights, catching Noya, catching Mel, and then the retakes were a little bit cleaner as well. Actually, the retakes weren't even that needed when Timotino's just dropping everybody off before SRG could even plan. So game plan's already there. You don't have to play this flood retake anymore ever since you got this off.
And SRG are definitely doing better on this icebox than the icebox they had against Envy. Is off of this composition, but DodoNet struggling on kind of that solo anchor on B and just kind of not wanting to take big risks. I don't see TSM, or not TSM, sorry, SRG doing big walk downs, and Sage naturally is just not going to be as aggressive, and it's just going to be holding space a lot more, but haven't seen SRG buy any snipers or an op in a long time, and I don't know if they've really been able to afford to, but it's been such a big difference maker for Timotino and TSM. Yeah,
and that's the thing too for SRG. It's difficult, or maybe not as necessary, to get the operator onto your attack side, especially when you're not playing. I guess it doesn't really matter if you're playing a non-duelist or a duelist with how you're approaching Icebox on the attack, because if you're going to bring out the op, you're expecting the op to push and fight for example, belt or towards long to try to 1v1 and guess where the opera could be, or try to get a slower pick. But SRG tried to be a little bit more proactive in terms of staying as a group and try to go for the force rotates in that end. Having somebody like Donut onto an operator will not allow here for SRG to really move through and upwards to get a wall plant, to get a safe plant on the side of SRG, because that's been her responsibility to do that on the attack side for Shopify. If you're going to give it to Mel, well, Mel is not going to be able to TP up and try to find and get the aggressive space for the team either, because you're TPing out in the open. You're just kind of guessing where your opponent's going to be and hoping that your crosshair placement could flick for a pick with the operator as well. So I think for them is just to continue to fight with rifles the way that they did, and it's fine. And then you're probably going to start seeing the operator a little bit more here on the defensive side, which is fine. And I would expect probably the same thing here for TSM once they take their attack.
Have a brutal schedule just for SRG to face past stage champions, which you would be doing coming in as a lower seed from promotion relegation, but you thought that you were facing a beatable TSM, one that is still rebuilding and piecing everything together, and now this is a peaking TSM, or at least a much better version than last week. But the game is still equal, and we're still getting into the final round of the half. SRG in a 2 versus 3 on the left side, Spike heading the other way. So what kind of chaos can Noya create once this wall comes down? No one out first, expecting the Gecko flash, catching Bor on the drop down. Beautiful double from Noya, inserting and waiting for the TSM aggression and adapting accordingly. Now deciding to shift the whole spike over because of the work that Noya did. And as soon as the spike comes over, it's not as smooth sailing as SRG would have hoped. Still 2 to deal with, including Timotino and including a lockdown. But at full force, who can stop SRG? Timotino doesn't have the op anymore. It's more of a nerf TSM at this point. Now with the walls in place, you're hoping that's a sense of safety, and as soon as that stage util comes up, there's the swing from Timotino, slicing through SRG like butter. Now trying to play dodgeball against the Hunter's Fury, and Sarah puts him 6 feet under.
A very dangerous move from Mel to commit to the TP, especially when she had Spike and the wall was still up behind her. So it would have given a difficult moment for SRG to break the wall and try to trade off. If she would have lost that fight there towards the end, but thankfully she did against 7. But this right here, the Dizzy gets thrown and somehow it doesn't ping Noya. So it's free. Weird. She gets a double kill that way, and somebody's gonna be like, okay, well, we're gonna have to send a message to John Riot here because that should have hit Noya. It was clearly in her POV, but it was actually Dizzy into the falling down from the apex of the arc. Unfortunately, that I guess doesn't ping her. I don't know, but that's something that's new. Free kill. SRG is able to tie up the map here 6-6 as now they take the defensive side, and TSM are trying to do similar things here than SRG. A quick 4-player hit towards this B site for control on green, and maybe even the orb.
The cascade, the wingman run up. TSM gonna fall back away from yellow and giving up important power position if Timotino wants to dash in, but he's just gonna kind of walk up, Sheriff in hand. SRG just getting spammed through the wall. 57 HP for Alexis. SRG are on the way to reinforce as well, so SRG is just trying to play safe behind the harbor walls. Oh, thanks GMD for a little bit of protection and peace of mind, but with the Cove and the wingman, TSM got to just focus on how to close out the round and not the objective. There's so much protection on the post plant, and TSM don't even really have to peek if they don't want to, but they are going to mark how SRG are going to take that space, and it's Noya that opens things up. Dizzy above the smoke. SRG caught off guard. Bora rounds yellow, and it's a 2 versus 2 as Bora has to heal back up. An important band-aid. The right click not enough to finish off Alexis. The spike getting tapped. Alvin's attention is being called, but can't clutch against Mel.
There'll be enough time too. So Mel and SRG are able to take the pistol round here on their side for the second half, winning both pistols on this map against TSM, which is huge. The thing is, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of util to help TSM to get to the plant. You saw the wall from the high tide to scale up into the map, the cascades, and the cove. But the thing is after that, nothing is holding the pulse plant. There's no mollies being thrown, except maybe if your Gecko's still alive to throw a mosh in there if you have it. But if not, you have to be pristine in the crossfire setups, which they were kind of they were set up for here for TSM. But SRG were just better in the buddy system to trade off instantly against these fights, and it will close out here on that 1v1 in the end for the IGL of Mel. So winning the pistol now, Cascade moving back up. Noya stalling here towards his B side, but finally, the Dizzy gets the effect here onto Noya. She forfeits that position and allows TSM to collect the orb and play objectives in her eco, but also insert GMD right in the back pocket where Noya got value a couple of rounds ago.
Yeah, Noya was ready to take a close fight with her buy too, which would have definitely put some people down. It's quick to regain her position in yellow, but also quick to realize TSM are nowhere to be found. You just always got to expect, where's that Dizzy coming from? And SRG have to play counter flash against that, and Donut's ready to boost herself up, potentially, or at least get the one free pick if they're rotating close left. Good crossfire, too, from TSM in case SRG. I want to try and figure out where this hit is coming from. You just heard the drop down, so Sarah has a recon to check things out, but it's just gonna shot close and produce some movement. And there's Donut seeing some action, getting the one pick. The crosshairs in place. And SRG gonna forfeit positions to just find angles around TSM. And it's just Vora with the spike now having to call upon the lurk of GMD, but no chance. A flawless for SRG.
And huge indeed. The flawless allowing 3,000 credits across the board. The bonus is going to be amazing as well. 3 Bulldogs carried over. Spectre, Guardian now getting purchased as well. Because you could still actually... This is what we're trying to guess before too. If you're going to go for this type of investment for your bonus round, you might not be able to get an operator later on. And for her to keep just a sheriff right now for Donut gives me an inkling that they do potentially want to try to go for the operator on Donut on this stage. So let's see if at least the Bulldogs could get some value here on the side of SRG. Most of it focused on this A side to get some information to start. And it's only Allen Boy that's going to create the full sense of presence of TSM on that side.
Timotino still has dash too, so you just have to really respect how fast that duelist is going to be able to take space and what you're sacrificing when you aren't running that duelist. So SRG is just going to pepper as much util and smokes and sort of one ways that Noise trying to benefit from. Now with the high tide in place, that is SRG kind of forfeiting that, while the lurk of TSM opens up some options with that first blood on A. But SRG have to reestablish, fill up the gaps that lurk left behind. And now with the spike planted, all thanks to the coves and the walls, it's SRG with such a really difficult task ahead of them, of breaking through all of this vision and then doing so while walking into a bunch of spam. And TSM are getting a lot of kills, just shooting through their own water, their own smokes, and SRG haven't even seen the threat. And as soon as they do, Timotino's front and center with a headshot. It is TSM with a pretty big comeback happening.
Yeah, a very nice round here on the gun round for SRG, getting no value off your bonus round, unfortunately, on the defensive side. But I want to highlight the wall there from Bora being thrown by Danger. I really like that spot. Usually here, when you're looking at how good the Harbor or a Viper is on that map, is to section up the B site to allow for you to get a plant on B. But as soon as that ticker of the wall comes down, that's an exposed position at Danger. So adding that stage wall allows for you to buddy up on the system, have one person stay behind there to fight as an obstacle, as a headshot angle, to continue to watch on top of Heaven. But not only that, you're funneling everybody out towards this small area that's coming through, that's fully opened up here on the side of Green to fight back again. So SRG, they have to realize that into the later rounds of the retake on the B side, that they have to break this wall sooner than later so that they actually open up that space for that retake.
It's an orb grab from TSM and ditching the scene of the crime. Picking things back up. The SRG are just going to rely on their Viper wall to retake and kind of almost giving up this whole site and just leaving Mel.
And it's fine too. You see how she's playing her smokes, delays on smokes, first off on Nest, trying to see if there's going to be any util being thrown, if it's a dizzy being thrown, you won't even ping anybody. And then you get into pipes just to make sure that you're forcing now TSM to wait things out, or even force more util out to try to get some map control into the A side. And TSM, they just waited the whole time. They're just waiting for that last second pop.
Waiting for the Hunter's Fury, and that's why Sarah's playing far and away, and she gets the call, pulls the trigger, and so do the rest of SRG. It's just a no man's land, and TSM don't even have a spike and have nothing going for them in this round. The trap was laid, and TSM stepped right into it.
It's just good stall. So you got 14 seconds on the first Omen smoke, 14 seconds on the second Omen smoke, and then as soon as the second smoke's gone, then your timing on the next smoke is probably going to be like 10 to 15 seconds left. You start pulling out the ice orbs, the slow orbs on the ground of Donut, the Viper wall on top of that on the other end. So you're scaling through so much utility on the side of TSM just to try to get into the site. And as you pointed out here, Lemon Kiwi, the cherry on top is that Hunter's Fury that doesn't allow TSM to go for that quick pop like they wanted to. Maybe unexpected on that side from the IGL. Should be GMD back on the IGL helm this time around, and just a missed call, unfortunately, that they pay the price of in SRG are back in the lead by 2.
A deep cascade gets TSM halfway into A with the Donut ready to watch close right, or her right, you know, perspective left.
The
and
other
now
right.
It's Timotino. Yeah, just one of the rights. And well, this is looking pretty right for TSM, but the spike did get dropped, and you just gotta focus on the war, not just the fight. But Donut, you just can't dislodge her. Now finally coming alive as the Sentinel chooses her path carefully. Can't win the 1 versus 2, so that's a plant for TSM's side. But watch this flank from Noya. Will be marked by the turret. As GMD shaking things up. Alexis having to poke out and can't get the second one. And it's Noya that still has all the time in the world to try and go and defuse, and it's going to tick down very fast. And her position is not known. GMD is watching screens. Surely, with how long this is taking, he's got to expect a flank. And Noya, before some movement with the Molly, Spike being tapped, thinks he's in screens. And wait, it's the Molly that gets the kill.
He was hoping that Noya is going to swing out outside of that, so he continues to walk across and try to surprise her before he runs out of HP. And unfortunately, it's Noya running straight to the spike, getting the sneak bite kill. And now SRG in the lead by 3. And I would expect here that GMD knew that the fight was coming in from the backside, because the Reckoning only got a slight ping on the first one in the back of spawn, but then never saw anybody towards screens, never saw a second ping come out from screens or anybody jumping around either, as you can see right now through that radar. But too much time has evolved, too much time has passed, so Noya could be anywhere at that point towards the end, so GMD had to start making a move and walk around. He read correctly, but just unfortunately, this snake bite was there.
TSM timeout now. We're just, with all the chaos that's happening in these TSM fights, there's no kind of stall moment where Vora can go and res somebody. He had that last round, and just kind of when the dice are on the table, they all fall at once, and SRG hitting nat 20s. You love to see it. One away from the lockdown. They have their own res too, and really came down to the wire. And I think this whole map will as well. It's only a 3-round lead.
An important timeout.
Yeah.
Trying to go for mid control here on the side of TSM. So Timotino, maybe for the updraft top pipes, Dizzy being thrown, maybe try to fight and isolate Alexis from the get-go. They don't really have well, I mean, they do have Nanostorm lineups if they want to break that turret on the top of Boiler, but I think they're just going to go all out for the fight.
TSM gonna run it down, cooking this up, especially for SRG off the timeout, and Alexis just pops out, pops another, and the third. Oh, she was just marinating during that timeout. What the heck? Alexis now with the lockdown solidifies mid. And TSM are just gonna leave the spike behind, and here comes Noya to just kind of finish off this round very soon. GMD 15 HP. And it's SRG up to 11. What a round.
To get this type of victory, this type of round of victory for the side of SRG after a timeout from TSM on TSM's map pick, this could almost be a GG. Let's go to a third map, because Alexis was locked into that one. And you were just mentioning before on the first map and at the desk here with the change from Alexis into the Senti role, just focusing on doing her own things, finding her own timing, jumps outside the window and gets an instant pick like that, catching players off guard. That is an amazing hit coming out here from Alexis. Trying to get that heal up, I couldn't, but doesn't matter. It's still a 4-round lead now for SRG, and never went for that updraft was Timotino, and this time around still trying to go for the hero play on mid with Spike on his back.
The stage pains of the "let me love you" as you run at someone with heals. Always people running away in ranked, and now there's no turret in mid for SRG, so Lex is gonna have to watch through kitchen now and see if they get an angle on window, but it's too little too late. TSM have made huge headways trying to wrap around the backside of A, and SRG collapse from both sides to shut down the TSM push and leave the spike behind. The only chance is if Alvin could get a good catch, but because there was this wall, it's more than enough time for SRG to react and overcome the 2-man push for TSM coming through the back of A, and it's just GMD and Alvin against the world. And SRG kind of stacking together has me worried some multi-kills can happen. Donut injured and no heal, could go to res somebody, but the corpses are far and away.
They had the res next door, right at that body with the spike, but because of the 3 HP remaining of Donut, they got scared. Oh, he dies, he's hurting!
Oh, man.
Oh no! It's a 1v1 and you have ult to work with and 2 nanostorms for Alvin Boy. Oh no.
It's gonna decide if a TSM comeback is looming or if SRG are ready to send us into another map. And Noya, who's been in this situation before, is about to cross into the sidelines of Alvin. Not a very intense 1v1, but a clutch for Alvin boy nonetheless.
Well, welcome to your second caster curse there, Lemon Kiwi. 2v4 on this side of for the side of SRG, unfortunately lost as Alvin boy is able to capitalize on a couple of kills with GMD to keep the things going on this side of TSM. This, despite the first mistake with that pick onto Mel, you could still see that SRG still had so many players around for the back of Boiler to just cross in and making sure that they were able to trade off and take control of that spike in the very beginning until Alvin boy gets enraged with that turret. Unfortunately, as he's flanking around and creates his own little 2v2 with that spot. But that said, we're moving into round number 20. Already 10 seconds down as we have TSM trying to work out towards this B site.
Oh yeah, just being very careful with how she spams through some of these smokes because you don't want to reveal your position. You don't want to just have an immediate dizzy and an op. Well, now she knows where the op is, and the rest of SRG having to push through that is not going to be fun. Now the high tide in place. It's going to seal off Alexis. And Arez will be out of arm's reach for Dodonut, so a good head start for TSM, but it was all a fake.
You'll take that trade because now you could still re-hit towards this B site because you still have, once again, the fish versus no lockdown available here for the side of SRG.
I guess you get to farm back towards B with a pick like that, but the party kind of is already on its way to A, so now just all the options are so good for TSM. And it took a res from Dodonut to just make this still winnable for SRG, so at least they have a 3-stack. Lockdown from Alvin, though, will be evicting SRG.
Tripped on his laces, though, before he planted that. He wanted to put it on top of pipes and just missed it.
Hate to see that. Hate to see a Thrash burn like that, too. Timotino gonna get blinded, but safe behind the boxes, and Wingman's not gonna get the spike off, and Donut is always converting multi-kills at the back of A. That has been a problem for TSM, but Alvin is quick to the punch, just spotted the melt time, the teleport, and Alvin still gets the chase down. That is just a clutch god today.
No, but no matter what, they finally won by time, unfortunately, here for the side of TSM. It was like 0.0 something something, but Mel stayed alive just long enough to give the map point. That was insane. Alvin boy was booking it. I don't know if he had Nike shoes or the old school Reebok pumps, but he made sure he pumped those in to try to get the kill, and unfortunately couldn't in the end. And SRG foils the plan of TSM on how good they were on their attack side to kick things off. But before that chaos on that 1v1, it was a beautiful flood retake by SRG with 10 seconds left on TSM to shut them down. Now TSM, they have to try to gamble it out, or at least try to go for the aggression once again. 4 players on his green side to try to take this plant over on B.
Just not being able to fight for that orb. SRG haven't been very aggressive on this side, which would help get the fit up, and Noya just takes advantage of everyone behind Timotino. Heard the dash on yellow, don't care. TSM now with the reckoning. Get rid of the rest of SRG that could have been nearby, so having to retake through that corner and through yellow with Timotino being just on fire today. It's going to be a monumental task for SRG, especially still having a Guardian. But it will be making Dodonut making first contact. Ready for the double swing from SRG around the corner. He got the slow orbs in place, giving a chance for SRG to just run down one lane with the wall covering the other. Timotino finds timing. Sarah is better. It's a 2 versus 2, and Sarah is just lining up the kill feed and denying on the spike. 7 may have just sealed the round for TSM. Sarah won't be able to do anything about it, so TSM still in this by the skin of their teeth.
This game is starting to get chaotic on both ends. We have people walking through mollies, getting shot down by turrets. 0.0001 save here from the side of SRG, and now people dropping like flies when TSM had such good positions on the post plant. It was very similar to what we were talking about before, or what you mentioned on that pistol round, where they had so much good util to go for the plant on the side of TSM, but the post plant went in favor of SRG on their retake because they were just better on the gunfights. But thankfully, time was on the side of TSM once again, and are able to make sure here that Seven's able to close out that round and keep the dream alive once again for the side of the attack. So a timeout being called this time by Shopify Belling Gold. They're really trying to shut this down now because that small window, the small sliver of hope that was given here by Mel's win against Alvin Boy on that 1v1, they need to continue to ride that momentum to try to close out this map. Because if this goes into OT, this could very well be a TSM closing it out into 2-0.
Gotta cross that finish line. And SRG have been so close so many times, and they got a chance to be in Challengers from that promotion relegation tournament. But TSM have built up this team so fast, and Timotino is having a series, probably the best one, at least at the start of this stage, almost dropping a 30 bomb. But can they close out against SRG? Just need to carry as many weapons as they can. Economy not looking great. Now it's a pistol round for SRG, and at least they're stacked on the right side with a high-low, just spamming through all the water. Initial damage. But the beauty of Sage is some forgiveness on that damage. Mel has to be the first to scout and manages to get out.
Yeah, that's what was missing, or at least the foil to the plan that they had here for the SRG side. Sorry, they went for a quad high-low just to try to fight towards that belt. And good call here for the wall to come up from GMD, the cascade to push things forward, and now they have the power of weapons against SRG stacks. So despite 4 players still on the side of the defense, stacked up on this A side, the rifle should still be better if they decide to walk into that.
Noya is going to be able to call when this rotate happens. SRG's turret's deep within spawn, so mid-open, but you just have to gamble with what gaps you're leaving, and Noya just gets trampled. Not able to get her one and done with the Sheriff, so now it's quick work with the orb and the spike, and SRG are on their way quickly. With Sheriffs and Classics, it's not going to be very fun, especially with TSM are fine spamming through all these smokes, and you got a deep slow orb too. Thankfully, SRG are on the high ground, so it won't affect them too much, but as the smokes come down, it wasn't expected, but wait, SRG fire back. 2 pistols left, 3 of TSM to go. Recon is not going to stop someone like Timotino as the king of the hill.
I like that. I would have liked, though, even better if Alvin Boy was given the opportunity to get the last picks, because now that timeout that was used previously by SRG is trying to make sure here that they get as much good value as they did with the Hunter's Fury a couple of rounds ago. And then also a pit to funnel everybody into that Hunter's Fury. But if on the side here of TSM, they had that lockdown available here for Alvin Boy going into this round, that could go pound for pound against that ult that you have from Noya. The Thrash won't be able to do as well if Noya is going to stay on the top of 410 on the ult. Should actually look at the ult towards me? Hopefully not, because that would be a huge counter against the Thrash. Or the Thrash would be a huge counter against her, rather.
Oh yeah! Monster on the loose!
Not wanting to pop that pick quite yet, and a detain is going to hit Noya, so Hunter's Fury has to try and bail her out, and it's Sarah from across the way! A double kill! And Alexa shutting down mid! Just SRG, the support and trust they have in each other is crazy. And knowing what is coming up, TSM, it's 7 versus the world, and a 13-10 finish for SRG as we go to our decider.
Turns out to be all part of the plan to get Noya detained by the Thrash, because that Hunter's Fury from Sarah got immense value once again, and SRG are able to trade maps against their opponents, winning TSM's map pick, and we will be able to see Haven. Haven was not the